Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Hello, Bloomers! Welcome to a little chat on Zoom. This is my best friend, Dudley.
Hello.
Welcome to the Buy a Bloom channel.
It's great to be here.
We figured that we would make a video because May happens to be the month that we met. How many years ago, Dudley?
21 years ago.
21 years of friendship. I feel like that's a really big accomplishment, especially at 22 years old. So we met when we were 1, and we have been friends ever since, and we thought we would reflect and just talk about friendship and talk about how our friendship has grown and progressed and how we've had a successful friendship for the past 21 years. We can start off with talking about how we met.
So I was born in Tanzania in the city of Dar es Salaam, and my family moved to the U.S. when I was about 1, and then we moved straight to Michigan. We were looking around for different churches to attend, different parishes, and the one that we picked just happened to be the same parish that Becca and her family attended as well.
So my mom saw that there was a new family. I heard more about this story from your mom than anyone, but she was telling me that she was apprehensive because she was told that Americans were not as friendly, and they didn't just have spontaneous plans, and that you had to make an appointment to go over to someone's house, and she was used to just showing up at people's houses or hey, come on over or whatever. So when this friendly white lady comes up to her and is like, hey, this is my family, you should come over to our house and swim in our pool and eat breakfast with us, she was like, what? So she invited them over, and I think that your mom even was trying to make excuses of we don't have bathing suits for them right now, and all these excuses that my mom just bulldozed through, no, it's fine. And I think that while all of us were outside swimming, my mom was calling up a bunch of people from the church and saying they don't have anything, because your mom only came over with a suitcase and enough clothes for each of you and some toys. You didn't have any kitchen stuff or furniture or anything. She calls everyone and is like, hey, there's a new family, they need things, what do we have that we can spare? And your mom was saying that she still has a bunch of those dishes and stuff to this day.
We still have so many of those in our cupboard that we still use.
So great. And then our moms became really good friends, and anytime that your mom had a question about American culture or whatever, she would ask my mom, and my mom would explain things to her.
Your mom really helped my mom adjust to just new life here and just get used to the hang of things, especially because they both had kids. So. How
we became friends really was because if one of them needed to go grocery shopping or have a day of running errands or whatever, they would just drop one of us at the other person's house, and they would kind of exchange babysitting almost. We were at each other's houses a lot. Really grew up together. How many how often do you think that we were actually with each other? Because I feel like it was at least once a week for a long time.
When we were younger, probably almost every other day.
Yeah.
And then when I started preschool, at least once or twice a week, maybe 3 times even.
Our families just thought it was so cute because I was this little super white blonde girl and you were this African child. We were just so close. So eventually at one point I was the flower girl and he was the ring bearer at one of his aunt's weddings, and that's the picture of us.
We were 3 at this point, 2 or 3.
Yeah, something like that. I just love the way that I'm looking at you. I'm just looking at you and smiling.
Just cheesing.
Just cheesing, yeah, exactly. I love that I got to grow up with experiencing some of your family's culture too. It was just normal for me to realize different people, live differently or have different ways of living. And your mom, didn't she used to wrap both of us up in an African blanket and tie us to her back, and we both would just be on her back at the same time?
My mom would have a blanket. It's kind of like this, called a kanga in Swahili, and usually moms there wrap the babies around their back and just carry them around.
Yeah.
So when we were both small, my mom would do that with both of us.
That's so great.
You were born in 98. I was born in 97.
I know, this is always the other. He was born in December and I was born in January. And so he's always I'm the year before you.
It's still a year.
Was it in 2nd grade or something? So there were 2 times that I remember someone from the office would come down and ask if they could borrow me. And then as we're walking down the hallway, they'd be like, so Dudley doesn't want to take his hood off because he got a haircut and he doesn't think it looks good. And he wants you to make sure that it looks good. And then the same thing with your glasses. He got new glasses and he doesn't. I remember when we combined schools with everyone else, we went from having a class of 10 people to having
30, 40 something.
Yeah, 40 something, I think. And we got split up. We were in 2 separate classes. It was the first time that our school had 2 different classes, and I was so mad. When I changed schools halfway through 8th grade, you and Paul were really the only friends that, like, actually reciprocated my efforts to, like, try and stay in contact with anyone. You know, we continued to hang out. We video chatted pretty frequently, I think, didn't we?
Yeah, video chatted, called, because back then, like, 40 minutes driving was such a long distance.
I know. Well, and we had to make our parents drive. As we transitioned into being apart from each other, then I think we almost like reconnected in a sense. Okay, now we're talking about life and transitions and difficult things and whatever. I feel like we had like a resurge of we're super close now and we talk to each other all the time now. And I don't know if you had the same experience or not.
Yeah, I do. Because I know in middle school, we both got some new friends as well, but like you and I were still at the core essentially.
We didn't like spend like one-on-one time together throughout like most of middle school, I don't think. You came out a couple times. I remember coming out for your 16th birthday party. That was fun. And then that's when I got to know some of your high school friends too. And then throughout college, over the summers, we would hang out a lot more. I think we have had a very successful friendship, and I think that our friendship is probably the most solid relationship that I have in all of my out of all of my relationships. I don't know if you have any thoughts about like why that is that we've been able to get along and have a successful friendship for 21 years.
I think my best guess would be that you've been the main constant and we've been each other's constant from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. I think children just have the purest sense of friendship, especially from that young age, without all these premonitions of what it's supposed to look like or any expectations that go along with it. So just starting off with a pure childish friendship and then having that build up for so long, that just definitely helped stabilize this. And then being each other's constants for all these years and for how long we just spent so much time together.
I feel like there's been so many times too when even when we're video chatting and stuff, we don't even need to talk. It's being together that's the comfort and the important part. I think both you and I are very empathetic as well, and so everyone needs someone who can just sit and be and not try to fix it and not try to like solve the problem, but just like experience it with you and have that sense of not being alone. And I think that's something huge that we've been able to provide for each other, is just like being with each other through all the crap that life has put us through.
Or whenever on the phone call we'll like update each other and then a few minutes go by where we don't really say anything, but just that presence of each other is soothing enough. It's like comfort enough.
I think there's other relationships that cannot exist in silence and just being. People feel the need to fill the silence.
I know, which no matter who we hang out with, we're both gonna have a fun time with whoever's there. So just having that adaptability as well.
I really think that we grounded each other in who we are, because like you probably know me the best out of anyone, and I don't know if that's true, if you think that I know you better than everyone.
You know me the best.
I don't want to assume, but I think that because we see each other so clearly and we know each other's hearts, then it's easier to be ourselves with each other. This leads to the topic of expectations too. We don't have expectations of each other. It's so much easier for me to judge someone else than it is for me to judge you, because I know you, and if you do something that I don't agree with, it's not like oh Dudley, what are you doing? It's like, okay, he messed up. Like I know where your heart's at, and so it's so much easier for me not to judge you. And you're the person that I feel the least judged by as well, because you know me, and if I mess up, then you're not like, Becca, what the heck? Like you're just like, okay. It's so freeing to like have a relationship like that. I know what a healthy friendship is, and not a lot of people have that to base other, to compare. We've, like, Dudley will agree to this, we've never been in a fight.
Yeah.
We've never been like angry at each other.
Like maybe a few disagreements, but never like arguing, like exchange of words, like,
which is insane. Like 21 years of friendship and I've never been like angry at you. I know that people would say this about you, like, can anyone get angry at Dudley? I think that we both really value peace and balance. And I think that's a huge thing too, because we both value that, that's what's present in our friendship. We both have peace and balance in our friendship.
I think it also has to do with vulnerability, because with any friendship, you need to be vulnerable to some extent. You can't just be completely closed off and expect the same from someone else. Especially as kids, I think kids are so vulnerable. And so to start off as that, to see each other as the purest form of love and vulnerability and of heart, because I've heard that kids often are the truest self. So being able to see each other from that very beginning, we already had the expectations, we've already seen through any facades that other people might put up, and we've just seen directly to the source source of who you are. I've seen exactly who you are. You've seen exactly who I am.
That's the blessing, is that because we've been seen by each other, we know that we can't pretend to be something else with each other. Like, I think that we both were especially vulnerable children. So the fact that we already were like that in our personalities, and that we were like that together, and we could share in that together and be honest with each other, and that was just the norm, that it continued to be the norm as we grew up. But outside of us knowing each other the best, it's such a comfortable space to share things, like to share things that we're ashamed about, or share secrets that like we're like, I'm not comfortable telling anyone else this.
And that also has to do with just when you know someone's heart, you know that when you go to them with anything, that whatever they say back to you, you know 100% it's not coming from any place of malice or hatred.
Yeah.
But from a place of love, and that just makes it so much more freeing, like you were saying.
I think that we both also just really trust each other's judgment. I don't think that us having like this amazing friendship I don't think it comes from one thing. I think it's just a combination of things that fit really well in general. And like, we're both very introspective. We both have really similar values. We both long for good and long for improvement in really similar ways, and long for honesty and balance and peace and love, and like all just like loving people fully and truly. Just so many things that line up. And I'm sure that we've helped each other form some of those same values as well. It's such a God thing, because for two people to meet when they're one and then be best friends for 21 years and never have any kind of falling out and never have any like major issues with each other, and being such a source of balance and of strength, and like reminding each other to turn towards God and turn towards faith, and just like all of those things combined is like, what are the chances? Like, what? And then that can also lead into, what do people always think about us, Dudley?
They always think we're in a relationship, we're gonna get in a relationship, we're gonna get married, the whole shebang.
The whole shebang. We cannot tell you how many times we have had to like tell people like, no, we're not dating. No, we're not planning on dating. We're fine with where we're at. And yes, we've had many conversations about it.
Such a mutual understanding of, I think, just in today's world, the idea of a guy and a girl being this close and not being in a relationship, like, some people just can't understand that.
We still have a childlike friendship. We literally act like children together sometimes. But you and I have always had like a different kind of love for each other. Like, we've had like a family bond, basically. Like, we grew up together, we've experienced life together, we see each other, we know each other, we love each other.
I know for a lot of other relationships, like friendship or otherwise, I hear people say a lot how it just takes a lot of work on both sides, but honestly, like, it doesn't feel like we either of us have had to put in like any work to maintain this. That's just how easy, like, it doesn't feel like one of us has to put in more effort than the other. Yeah. Like, it's completely mutual.
I think in general that's something that I need to strive for with all of my other relationships. That's the thing, is it's not difficult with you. It's not difficult because we do have that deep sense of trust and understanding. But even in other situations where we don't have that trust and understanding with other people, I think that it's still important to strive for that level of patience and understanding, and recognizing, like, I don't know what this person is going through. The idea of like being able to be a child with each other, like, I don't think I've had a space with any other person where I have felt as free to just like be goofy and be random and be whatever is coming to the surface at that moment. Like, I don't shove anything down with you, so that also means that there have been more times with you than anyone else where I have just been dying laughing in tears on the floor, gasping for air, just being like, what?
like, 5 minutes straight.
We never explained faff.
Oh, yeah.
You were the one that came up with it, right?
Because, like, first of all, we were each other's first friends. But not only that, like, Becca was my first American friend, and I was Becca's first African friend. And thus, FAF stands for
FAF.
both first African and American friend. Works out perfectly.
Okay, lessons. So if you want a good, long-lasting friendship that's deep, like, let it be centered in God. Don't over-rely on each other, but also don't hold back vulnerability, and be patient and understanding. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
I think you said it perfectly.
Cool. Well, thank you, Dudley, so much for joining my YouTube video.
Thank you, Becca, for 21 long years of a fruitful friendship.
Yes, thank you for friendship too. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you learned something about friendship and relationships, and maybe realized some aspects of your own friendships that are healthy or unhealthy. And I hope that you learned something about yourself. Love you guys, and I'll see you soon. You just stopped.
Well, I'm not gonna see them soon.
Perfect.
It works.